Aloha and welcome to our video on world climates. In this video, we'll explain the Kppen climate classification system. We'll briefly go over some humid tropical climates, some humid mid-latitude climates, and then we'll give you some characteristics of our dry polar and highland climates as well. So our Kppen climate classification system kind of breaks it down by humid and dry type conditions. For the humid, we have tropical and mid-latitude. We're also going to have the mid-latitude broken down into mild winters, and then we'll have severe winters. We'll also have a dry kind of climate system, polar, and then we'll also have some highlands as well. So as we look at our map here, you can see from the symbols over on this side where these climate systems tend to occur. We have our humid areas, our wet tropics. That's going to be our tropical rainforest for the most part. We'll have a wet and dry season. That would be like our savannas and things of that nature, where we're going to have a pronounced wet season followed by a dry season, and that can also be rainforests as well. We'll have our, going up to the mid-latitudes, we have our dry summer subtropical, like around the Mediterranean and the west coast. We'll also have our humid subtropical, which we'll see like over here in China, and we'll see in northern India as well. And throughout most of Europe, we'll have that in a marine west coast kind of environment here. Okay, and these are where we have mild winters. As our winter becomes a little more severe, the further north we get into our humid continental, which would be most of Canada and the north mid part of our country. And then we get into our subarctic, which is going to be northern Canada and Siberia over in Alaska for the most part. Our drier ones will have our steppe conditions and then our desert conditions, and we can see those on the map as well. Our highlands are going to be up in the mountains where it's going to be a higher elevation, and we can get so high that they become very arid and dry, such as the Atacama Desert that we'll talk about a little bit over here. And then polar-wise, we have our tundra where the ground is always frozen, and then ice cap where it's just ice. So that's our Kppen climate classification system, and we kind of went through quickly. Let's take a look at some of examples from some of these areas. So throughout the lesson, they'll go through a couple of these different examples for us. In our humid subtropical, we can see here in China, where we're going to have a pronounced summer, and we'll have a winter, and we'll see these summer rains here. So that's where we're going to say it's humid. There's a lot of humidity. We have that summer. As we get to our dry summer subtropical, what we're noticing the difference between the two. Temperatures, now remember, this is northern and southern hemisphere, so we still have a summer. We still have a winter. Notice that it's not as pronounced, but notice the change in precipitation here. There's going to be a lot less rains coming in, especially in the summertime. So this is where we're seeing that change between these two climate zones. Our subarctic, notice that we have about average precipitation. Is going to be about the same year round, but notice the change in temperatures. We have a significantly warmer summer than we do a winter here. So that's going to show us that there's a severe temperature change. Our marine west coast climate, we'd expect it to be kind of not too crazy. So we're noticing here that our temperature change isn't going to be so severe because we have the buffer of the Pacific Ocean, and then we're going to expect to see an awful lot of moisture coming in off the ocean. So we see a lot of precipitation in this area. And then our continental climate, this is where we're going to experience the greater, again, we'll see this larger change in temperature because we don't have the buffer of any water around us. And then also because the air has traveled across the continent, we'll notice that it's dried out a little bit, so we get a little less rain this way. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the dry climate zones that we have. Here's us, the Great Basin, and we're a desert because we have the mountains on the west coast. So as the winds come across, it pushes up this warm, moist air. We squeeze the water out of it basically, and then we get this dry, warm air come across, and that's why we have our desert conditions here. It's a little more pronounced here in the Atacama Desert. In there, they have much steeper mountains. It actually is so tall that it pushes out. We have so much condensation in the precipitation that we have such dry air there that it's actually the driest place on Earth. We can have other areas like the Sahara here, and that one is because most of the time what happens is our storms are forming here, and these are where our hurricanes come that attack the United States. So our moisture is blowing the wrong way, so that's why we're going to be a little bit drier there. Okay, and that explains our dry climates around the world. Okay, so that's it for this video. As always, good luck on your quiz, and we'll see you in the next video.